Hello everyone, my name is Eva, dietitian and science ambassador for the Tetragen team, and I hope you're having a wonderful day from wherever it is in the world that you are watching this video. So in today's video, what I'll be talking about is the role of inflammation in the body and foods to avoid and foods to eat when it comes to inflammation in the body. So the reason that's so important is because inflammation can be a contributor to leptin resistance, and leptin resistance can contribute to weight gain. So if you're somebody that has been trying to lose weight for a while with no success, please watch this video because inflammation might be a contributing factor for you. Now, before we get into the foods to avoid and the foods to eat, we need to understand a little bit about why it's so important to address inflammation. So there's actually two types of inflammation, and the first is the gut type. So inflammation is like the body's defense mechanism, which allows the body to heal and to repair. For example, when we get a fever, inflammation occurs and the body fights off whatever disease was in our system, or if we get a cut, then that becomes inflamed and then the body heals. So this only lasts a few days or a few weeks, and we need this in order to heal. And then the other type of inflammation that we don't want is a long-term chronic inflammation, and this inflammation is actually associated with diseases such as cancer, obesity, diabetes, other heart diseases and respiratory diseases. So that's what we want to avoid. And one of the ways that obesity and inflammation are linked is that if we carry extra fat around the tummy, that's called visceral fat, and from this visceral fat there are these inflammatory substances being released into the body, which causes inflammation, and this can just inhibit your overall health as well as your weight loss goals. Now, as well as that, when the body is inflamed, it can contribute to leptin resistance, which is when the brain can't recognize the signal it receives from a hormone called leptin to tell your body that it's full and to stop eating. So you keep eating more than you should, and this ultimately contributes to weight gain. So leptin resistance is now thought to be one of the major drivers of obesity and of weight gain. Okay, so now the moment we've all been waiting for: what foods should we avoid and what foods should we eat? So foods that we should avoid would be foods that promote inflammation in the body, and then foods to include would be foods that have the opposite effect, so an anti-inflammatory effect. Let's start with foods to avoid. So number one on the list, we have trans fats. So trans fats will be found in foods like a frozen pizza, microwaved popcorn and baked goods. So here I have a croissant, and it could include things like margarine and donuts and fries as well. Next on the list, we have saturated fat, which are found in most animal products. So meat, so we have beef, pork and chicken, and then also some full fat dairy like milk, cheese, butter and cream. Some plant sources of saturated fat would be things like coconut milk, palm oil found in things like biscuits and in a lot of chocolate spreads, and also cocoa butter, which is found in chocolate. Foods that contain nitrites cause inflammation, such as smoked fish, some bacon, hot dogs, pate, salami, beef jerky and dried fish are some examples. Next, refined carbohydrates, and this refers to any grain that has been processed. So this rice has been processed to give us white rice, and this wheat has been processed to give us white flour to then make white pasta. And other examples will be things like breakfast cereals and white breads and white bagels. Next, we have added sugars. So this can be plain sugar or sugars in different forms like fructose corn syrup, and sugars are added to many things like ice cream, biscuits and fizzy drinks. So now let's talk about the good stuff. So all the food that we should be eating that help to reduce our inflammation. First on the list, we have foods with a low glycemic index, which are predominantly whole grain foods, and these would include foods like oats, some quinoa, some whole grain bread, and other things you could try would be things like whole wheat pasta, brown rice and buckwheat. Next, we have our lovely bowl of vegetables and fruit, which you should have at least 5 portions of every single day. And these are by far my favorite on the list to eat because they have a lot of water and a lot of fiber, so they help keep you full and have very little calories, which is great for weight loss. They're also really good for your gut bugs and really good to get that healthy glowing looking skin as well. And examples will be things like I have some kale, some parsley, a red onion, peppers, broccoli, watermelon, honeydew or cantaloupe, I can't remember which this is, some apples, oranges. The more colours, the better. Unsalted nuts are very good for your heart health, and you should have a handful every single day. So you could choose from walnuts, almonds, Brazil nuts, pecans, hazelnuts, you name it. Polyphenols found in green tea and black tea actually reduce a marker of inflammation called CRP or C-reactive protein. Curcumin, which is found in a spice called turmeric, and it's used a lot in Indian cooking. So this is what it looks like. It's very yellow. So what you can do is get a supplement, or you can add turmeric to your meals. Omega-3, which is found in oily fish, for example, salmon, trout, char, mackerel, and sardines. And plant-based sources of omega-3 will be things like walnuts, chia seed, linseed or flaxseed, or some hemp seeds. Next on the list we have magnesium, which is a mineral that's found in green leafy vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, and also some legumes. And some examples I have for you today are mung beans, red lentils, and green lentils. Vitamin D, which is a sunshine vitamin, so you may want to look at getting a supplement just for the winter, as it's really hard for us to make enough during those months. The last anti-inflammatory food that I'll mention is capsaicin, which is found in red chili peppers. So now you have hopefully a general idea of why inflammation is so important, and the foods to avoid will be things that include trans fats, saturated fats, nitrites, refined carbohydrates, and added sugars. And foods to include would be things like whole grains, vegetables, fruits, lots of omega-3, magnesium, vitamin D, curcumin found in turmeric, capsaicin found in red chili peppers, and green and black tea. So just a quick side note, if you happen to eat a food that was on the list of foods to avoid, don't worry, because we're all human, and as long as you stick to good, healthy choices 80% of the time, you are on the right track. So that's all for today. I hope you took something from the video. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.